hate to admit this, I was the kind of person that had difficulty asking for help. But she said, why would you not change die to live? Be authentic, be vulnerable.
Hello and welcome to Hello Moxie. I am so honored to be joined today by the amazing artist, writer, B2B marketer extraordinaire, Gina Tabasso. Gina, how are you today? Welcome to the
I'm
show.
great. Thank you. What a great way to end my week.
Yes, it's up. I would agree. If I could just be sitting here having conversations with you and all the amazing people, that's my favorite thing to do. I love, love, love it. So I would love for you to tell our listeners a little bit more about you, Gina, and who you are and what you do and what's lighting you up right now.
Well, since I last talked to you, what's really been lighting me up is I'm in a major pivot right now.
Ooh, I love a good pivot.
Oh man, it's a scary place, but I'm doing it. My whole career I've done marketing. I've done marketing strategy and implementation. I own my own consulting firm as a fractional CMO.
Mm-hmm.
Well, with the economy the way it is right now, marketing is the first budget cut.
Yes.
And AI is replacing a lot of marketers.
Yes.
And so I am pivoting. I looked at my resume and I decided to do a skills-based resume instead of a chronological. And I realized I'm so much more than I thought I was. I'm actually like a head chief growth officer or a COO because of all the background I've got in process improvement and project management and scaling teams. And so I'm reinventing myself again.
I love that for you, Gina. That's exciting.
Thank you.
Such a oh my goodness. I can totally relate to you. I'm in the middle of a big pivot too myself. So I think that is very exciting. I'm on the journey with you and you're absolutely right. Like you are so much more. I think when you actually sit down and think about all the skills that we've learned over our careers, how versatile they are and how you really can shapeshift and do many different things. You're not stuck in this one little niche little, position. There's a lot more
Hey,
that you can
Nicole, it's a Moxie moment.
It's a right off the top of the show, Gina's sharing her Moxie moment. Yeah. I mean, how is that like? Tell me more about this pivot for you. Like, how are you embracing the uncertainty of it and the fear that's coming with trying to step into something completely new and different?
Honestly, my network, they have wrapped around me like a warm blanket. I have so many people willing to give me the best advice. I even met some amazing recruiters on my journey, and they're helping me with positioning myself. And just, it's almost like when people are objective and they see you from the outside, they can see things that you can't see because you're too subjective and too close to it. Yeah. And so one of my friends that really changed my life, I owe him, he is a networking friend, and he said to me, listen, you've told me all these things about marketing. Why are you still trying to find marketing clients or another W-2 marketing role? He's like, stop. And I recoiled. I said, what am I going to do? That's who I am. That's what I do. And he said, no, you're not. He's like, I've seen your resume. I've seen your LinkedIn. I know you. And he started counting off on his fingers and rattling off like 12 huge skill sets. And he said, Gina, go after, stealth startups or companies that need one person who can do 12 things. Yeah. And that's who you are. You know how to build businesses. You built your own. And it made me look at myself different. And when I redid my resume into the skills-based resume, it was almost like looking in the mirror and not recognizing yourself. It was like, oh, that's me? Wow, that's impressive. She's something.
You are something. That's such a beautiful story, of having a courage companion. So we have this Moxie method framework. And one of the things, there's 5 phases in it. There's a stillness phase, which is all about pausing, resetting, connecting with your body. The second phase is the spark, and that's like self-discovery, curiosity, play, discovering what lights you up. And the third phase is all about embracing the fear. and stepping into the discomfort. And one of the things that we really like to highlight and recommend to that is to find a courage companion. Who's someone that can be kind of a mirror to you to help you step in when you're feeling doubtful of yourself, or maybe you're feeling imposter syndrome. And what you just described is like a beautiful example of that, like how important it is to have those people in our lives who can really be, hold our hands and stand next to us when we're making these big pivots and changes and
That
help
is
us
great
step into it.
advice, Nicole. Great
Yeah.
advice.
Yeah.
So
And you're living
true.
it. You're living
Hmm.
it. That's so cool. So I'm so excited for you, Gina. Oh, so cool. What
Thank
do you do? Like, have you found, like, when it comes to this pivot and the fear, you have your courage companion. What are some other things that you've found that have really helped you embrace the fear of the unknown?
Well, I am a calculated risk person, so I do a lot of research. Facts are important. So I researched. I'm not just flying by the seat of my pants and my gut. I talk to a lot of people. I'm the kind of person. I hate to admit this. I was the kind of person that had difficulty asking for help. I was all powerful and could take care of everything, and you know, in the last year, I have learned to humble myself and have the humility to admit what I need and ask people for help. And it is just a miracle how much people are willing to help when you're not a taker, when they know you're a giver. Like, I enter every conversation. Now, how can I help you? Who's your ideal client? And they're like, Gina, worry about yourself right now. We're here to help you. Don't worry about helping us. But I have a servant mentality. And I think the best advice I could give to people, be authentic, be vulnerable. Vulnerability is not a weakness. And that's really something I've learned in the last year.
So beautiful. So being vulnerable, not being afraid to ask for help. That's such great advice, because I found to myself, like, some of the biggest business breakthroughs I had happened when I asked for help. I'll
Mm,
never forget, like, asking someone for help when I was trying to figure out this problem for a client that needed an e-commerce solution. And I was just like, you know what? I'm going to take the risk and I'm going to ask for help. And it was totally mind opening, because it opened my mind to all these other people in this industry who knew all these things. And I was like, oh, this is amazing. And generally, people love to be helpful. Like, when someone
mhm.
asks me for help, I'm honored. I'm like, you want me to help you? Like, oh, I get to help. This is like, it's just a great honor. And I also think that there are phases in our lives where sometimes we get to be the ones who help, and sometimes we're the ones that need the help. And it's a beautiful experience to experience both sides of that. Sometimes with people who are close to us, who maybe there have been times when they've had to lean on us and ask us for help, and then years later they they need they need you to help them. And there's something that's so connecting and beautiful about the experience of that, of helping someone and then also being the one that's leaned on, because I think that's so human. We're not always going to be, able to do it all the
Mm.
time. We and it makes us vulnerable, it makes us human, it makes us learn, it's what connects us with each other. Yeah, that's so cool. Mm. Mm. Very cool. Well, I would love to know, Gina, we love to talk about women in history and the women who have been kind of trailblazers, who've led the way for us. So, who is a woman that has really been a source of inspiration for you in your life that you just really admire or have looked up to?
Yeah, I mean, of course, other than women in my family, I mean, of course they
Mhm.
gave me many gifts. But when I thought about this question, I kind of thought, in your adult life, who was the first person who really made a powerful impact on you that you can never forget?
Mm,
And the answer, there was a woman. She was actually my college professor my freshman year in English class.
mm,
And her name was Margot Bohannon.
mm,
And she told me I wrote a paper, I remember, on the Red Badge of Courage, the book like everybody had to read. And I wrote this essay, and she just said to me, "You are an absolutely gifted and brilliant writer. Like, this is what you were meant to do." And she became a mentor to me. Years later, she was teaching at another college, and I ended up teaching there after I graduated as an adjunct. And we stayed in touch. And one of the things she said to me, I'll never forget, this was a key piece of advice. I was gravitating back then, like, do I go into corporate America, or do I try to become a college professor and teach? And she said, "Gina, go into corporate America." She said, "Teaching, you have to write to publish to keep your credentials. You don't write for the love of it and the passion of it. You work weekends, you work evenings, you have to go to conferences, there's bureaucracy, there's politics." She said, "The job you've got right now, you work 8 to 4:30. You're done. You don't have to talk to students in the email and students and papers." She said, "I would say write for the love of writing. Don't become a professor, because you won't write." She said, "I have not published creatively since I became a full-time professor." And so I stayed an adjunct and kept working in corporate America. And it was that was another pivot moment, I think, because of her. I was at that road where the paths diverged, and which road do I take? So I'm where I am today because of her advice.
Beautiful. I love what you shared. She saw such potential in you. The fact that she was able to see and actually tell you the gift that you had for writing. What have you noticed since you made that choice when it comes to your creative pursuits? Because I know you love to write. Did you find that to be true? That advice she gave you, when you went into corporate America, did you find you still had time to write and do that work? And how were you able to balance both?
Yes, I mean, really, when I was 5 years old, my parents told me this, I don't remember this, but when I was 5 years old, my parents said, "You came to us and told us, when I grow up, I'm going to be a writer." And of course, they were disappointed. Years later, my dad's like, "Couldn't you have a Mensa IQ, and couldn't you have been a doctor or a lawyer or something, like, where you make a ton of money?" And then when I was probably in, we didn't call it middle school. I went to private, like, Catholic school. So grade school was K through 8. So I was still in grade school, and I remember I picked my colleges, I picked my majors,
Wow.
and I never deviated. And so I was an advertising major and an English major. And so really my whole career has been marketing, corporate communications, journalism, editing. So I've written professionally. And then because I do have, jobs where I didn't have to work evenings and weekends, I also wrote personally and creatively. And for many years I published. I would be in literary journals and anthologies and giving readings all around the country. I kind of retired from that years ago because it became like another job that didn't have a big return on investment. So I still write creatively, but I don't care about, I was famous before. Like, I don't care about publishing now. It's just not a priority.
Interesting. But you were able to do and pursue both, and like you basically live out exactly what your mentor had shared with you.
Hmm.
Oh, that's really cool. So as a writer, tell me, like, you write for work, but you also write creatively for your, on the side personally. What is it that inspires you to write?
Um, ooh, that's a loaded question. Um, I didn't have an easy childhood. And I think for me, words became power. Like, what was up here, no one could take away. And it
Yeah.
became transformation. Like, how do you take experiences and transform them and create beauty out of them and create something powerful and inspire people and move people? And um, so I ended up I like always gravitated toward poetry. And I mean, I've written journalism and articles too. But poetry is the art of distillation. How do you
Mm.
say in this many lines what uh, a novelist says in an entire book? And someone told me once, you should write the book of your life. And I'm like, I have. Read the poems. Um,
Mm.
but they are just, how do I do it? Honestly, it's a weird thing. And I'm not religious. I'm not going into religion with this, but it's like a channeling. It truly is. I'll go to these workshops and it might be like, hey, let's read this poem out loud and then take 5 minutes and do a sprint and just word catch from the poem and just write whatever comes to you. 5 minutes later, we read what we wrote, and my stuff is like dense and complex and finished.
Oh.
People are like, how did you do that? You could not have done that in 5 minutes. And it's just like, I don't know. I go somewhere else. It's like the perfect. I used to say poetry is prayer.
Mm.
Um, many things are prayer. Yoga is prayer. Horseback riding for me is prayer. It's that where are you most mindful? That absolute mindfulness where you're just engaged in what you're doing. The rest of the world can wait. You're not worrying. You're not thinking. You're not anything. You're not doing. You're just being. And I think when I write, it's just my being.
Mm. Tell me about like your first experience when you were a child when you noticed that.
Oh, I was little. Like I learned how to read and write well before I was in kindergarten. And I
Mhm.
remember I used to make little cards and give them to my parents and grandparents, and I would write little stories. I remember, like, cutting out little pieces of paper and folding them and stapling them and taking
Mm.
crayons and colored pencils and making little books. And then when I was in grade school, I had a friend who was also very creative, and we both loved a band called the Flock of Seagulls.
Oh, yes.
And we
Yes.
created this whole weird, like, hillbilly novel we were writing, and there was like Flocka Bob and John Bob and like your Billy Bobs, and there was this whole family, and it was almost like the Dukes of Hazzard meets Flock of Seagulls. And we would just work on this novel, and I would write a chapter and then I'd give it to her and she'd continue the story. So I guess I've always been a storyteller.
Yeah, for sure. Flock of seagulls, they're the ones that sing I ran. And
Yeah,
I ran. I ran
with
for nine.
the big hair. And it's just, I don't know, I it segued into my career, as a marketer and a communicator, corporate communications and marketing. Think about it. Marketing is also the art of distillation. Like, how do you
Mhm.
tell the story of a brand on one glimpse on a landing page
Totally.
of a website or a brochure or a little bulleted list? You have to be really concise and very creative. And because I use words, that really went well with digital marketing. And I kind of specialized in comprehensive SEO, which
Mm.
agencies teach you SEO is keywords on a website. No, it's not. That's one tiny component of SEO strategy.
Mhm.
And so I really dove into, I worked for small companies, and the question was always, how do you get the most bang for no buck? And if you don't have big budgets to spend and throw at ads and pay per click, you need to drive organic traffic and build leads organically. And so that was where I specialized. And that's all with content, contributed content, backlink strategies, PR and media relations,
Mm.
social media, everything that Google ranks and indexes you for organically. And so it just all kind of meshed together.
Yeah, it's kind of cool how you were able to kind of bridge, you've been able to in your career bridge your love and gift for writing with, marketing. Um, it's so funny. So many marketers I talk to, they're also writers or they have like a background in journalism. There's something about it. I
attracts
guess.
a lot of creatives, definitely. And I've been blessed that I also have the technical side.
Mm-hmm.
I have a Lean Six Sigma background with process improvement. I'm great with data and analytics. So I'm
Great.
kind of an anomaly. It's like kind of this creative that also is really structured, really organized, really time managed. I'm a great project manager.
Wow.
Where a lot of people in marketing,
You're
it's
a
like,
unicorn.
yeah, yeah, it's like herding cats, and so I'm a little more of a grounded creative, I think.
Yeah, it's interesting. I will say, like, throughout my career, it's very rare to find people who can do both of those things really well. You can always find the people who are the doers and the executors and the organizers and the ones that can just like land the plane. And then there's the ones that are like the creatives and the dreamers and the idea visionary kind of people. It's very rare to find someone who can bridge both of those worlds.
I
And when you
agree.
do, man, it's like solid gold. So that's pretty cool
Secret
that you can
sauce.
do both really, really well. Um, Man, so what is your I would love to know what is like your most proud piece of poetry or work that you've written that you just
I think
maybe come back to or love the most?
my favorite one, I could see it immediately.
Can you
When I
read it? Do you have it memorized?
I used to, I don't anymore. I could
Mm,
look it up though.
I would love to hear it.
Yeah, it's an
Yeah.
old one. It's an old one.
Hmm.
But the story is, when I was a little girl, other than dreaming of being a writer, I also dreamed of having a horse. I
Oh.
always wanted to have a horse. And I remember we were a
Mm,
working class family. And my dad said to me, only rich people have horses. We're never going to be rich and we're never going to have a horse. And I guess he never heard the term horse poor because there are plenty of people who have horses that are poor. It's just what you allocate your resources to. What are your priorities? Are your
mhm.
priorities like shopping at thrift stores and having a horse and like taking a cheap vacation, or do you want to spend your money somewhere else?
Mm.
So I dreamed and dreamed and dreamed. And when I was 28 years old, I got my horse.
Yay.
And he was glorious. A friend of mine was a trainer at a racetrack, and I would go work for her on Saturdays just
Mm.
to be around horses. And there was this horse. I'll never forget. She said to me, I got a new horse today. I claimed him in a race. You're going to love him. He's this beautiful gray horse. He's the last stall on the right. And I started to walk down they call it a shed row. The aisle in a barn is a shed row. But I started to walk down there, and his head swings out of the stall door, and he
Uh-huh.
looks at me and I look at him. And it was like those commercials where the couple
Oh.
is walking in slow motion through the meadow full of flowers, and you're hearing music and butterflies.
It
And
was your meet cute.
it was it. I mean, that was it. He was the one. And so my favorite poem is one I wrote for him the day that she put him on the racing trailer and took him from the racetrack to the barn where I was going to board him. And like I watched him walk off the trailer, and everybody was gasping. They're like, "No way, he's yours!" I mean, he's like a Kentucky Derby horse, like one of these
Wow.
beautiful race horses. And he was all tricked out. She had gotten him all fancy looking, and
Uh-huh.
so I wrote this poem. I'll read it for you. It's called
Yes.
"Forming."
Okay.
Forming for a former racehorse. What is your collapsed name? The one that folded you, imploding like a star when your leg bone gave out. When you were born to race a dappled comet, streaking jet and cranberry breath. What club do you belong to that loves foam and sweat,
Mm.
pulls hair from your neck, ties your windpipe open, mummy wraps your legs until you want to drink moon juice and run through the center of the sun, lightning flickering in the tornado. You are storm gray, hurricane wind, hot off the coast of Florida, whirling silk kiting around an ellipse. You wear red well, like a cloud holding in sunrise, squeezing out a little rain at a time. Take the dirt with you, burn the turf with hoof fire, cinder the roses around your neck, and give cleanly to the air that parts for you.
Mhm.
Wire thin, marble boned, bend into the sawdust, drink grass. I give you apple peel time and peppermint space on which to drag yourself from the ocean, form your spirit into a galaxy.
Wow.
That was a love poem. That's, I think, the greatest love poem I've ever written.
It's
It was the
beautiful.
day I took him from, racing and breaking bones
Mhm.
and all the things that happen to racehorses, and he could just eat grass and run and reinvent himself. Moxie,
Mm.
pivot. He was pivoting. So, and when he pivoted, I pivoted. Like, he changed my
Mm.
life. He taught me about patience and about trust and about partnership. We were together for 24 years, and then
Wow.
he was 30 and a half, and I had to put him to sleep the day after Thanksgiving in 2020.
Wow.
And he ended up getting like a really, really, really rare form of leukemia. And
Mhm.
the vet said horses don't even get leukemia. Like, there's no research out there on it because it's so rare. And he got it. So that was
Wow.
that.
That's such a beautiful poem. Like just the imagery is just incredible in that poem. Like I'm just amazed by how the visual imagery that you were able to write is just very compelling.
I've
Very
evolved
cool.
since then a bit and changed to become a little more narrative. But I wrote that when I was in my 20s, and that was
Mhm.
quite a while ago.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Thank you.
You
Thank
know,
you
I
for
have
letting me
a
read it.
my
I haven't read
sister.
that.
What's that?
Thank you for letting me read that. I haven't read that in a while. It was hard. I was starting to choke up, and I was
Mm.
like, "Oh, don't cry, don't cry.
Thank
Just
you
think
for
of the
reading
beauty."
it. Yeah, I'm honored that you would read it for our listeners and for me. It was beautiful, like truly just a magnificent poem. I can see why you would go around the country and do readings. And we get to experience a little of that magic today.
Thank you.
Yeah. How old were you when you realized your love of horses?
Oh, I don't, probably from the beginning, like when I was a writer. I was
Yeah.
a little girl with horse posters all over my room. If you could see
Mhm.
my room I'm in now, my office.
Yeah.
When I was little, because I couldn't have a horse, I
Mm.
collected Breyer horses. They're models of horses. And I still have them. And I have
Wow.
6 huge shelves with probably 10 horses per shelf. There's probably at least 100 horses there or more. And yeah, I remember playing with my Barbie dolls and making the Barbie dolls ride the horses.
Wow. I have a dear friend who's an equine coach, and
Oh.
it's fascinating to talk with her. She shared recently some experiences she had with, and she's also an executive coach. And so she'll take her clients out to the stables, and she has a horse that she'll have them spend time with. And it's completely unstructured. So it's not like there's any agenda in any way. Basically, she just lets them be with the horse.
Hmm.
And it was fascinating to me to hear, her explain how the horse can be such a mirror to whatever it is subconsciously that her clients may be experiencing, and that it really because horses are such they're herd animals, and they're very, and this way better than me, so I'm going to let you explain. I'm sure you can explain it to, I've never had, but she was just explaining to me like how, because they're herd animals, are so attuned to the feelings and what's going on with whoever is in their herd, and they
Hmm.
naturally want to make, if there's a human there, they want them to be part of, it's like they're naturally inclined to include them as part of the herd.
Hmm.
And it was just fascinating for me to like hear just the incredible transformative experiences that her clients would have when they spend time with the horses, what they learn about themselves, that they may not even have been aware of until they were in those times when they spent time with the horse, and the horse was basically telling them like, this is what you're feeling, this is what you're experiencing, this is, and the way it would be in physical manifestations. So like she explained, she had this client who was considering retiring, and was something was holding him back, I guess, from doing it. And he met but with a horse. And the horse, who was usually pretty calm and you know, you know, reserved, kept on. There was a gate that I guess near there, and the horse kept kicking the gate, like he wanted to kick the gate open. And she was just like so bewildered because he never acted like this before. And when she talked with she never tells the clients, she never interprets for them. She lets the client interpret for themselves what exactly is happening. And that's exactly what the client had said in this moment, was that the horse was basically mirroring to them that they wanted to just kick the door down and, move forward, or, anyway. So what are your thoughts on that? I'd love to know, having had a horse for 30 years, what was your experience like in terms of like your, just, that your relationship with the horse, and how the horse kind of like maybe helped heal you or give you therapy, or I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I hope you're trying to get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, definitely.
Can't find the words very well.
Actually, after he died, it took me a while to recover from that and be willing to be around horses again. It's just, I would be driving down the road and I'd see horses in a field and I'd have to pull over because I was crying so hard.
Yeah.
And, but then when I got through that grief, I started volunteering at a equine therapy barn. And they would use the horses similarly. They worked a lot with people who were victims of sex trafficking. So they completely lost trust and went inward and just completely withdrew from the external world. They also worked a lot with people who were first responders who were dealing with PTSD and, some trauma. And it was just amazing. The therapist would tell me how people would just come out of their shell and learn to trust and learn to play and learn to laugh again. And I think that's true. I can say for you, and I know this probably offend people who are very religious, but for me, my horse was a manifestation of God. It was like my prayer, my peace, my sanctuary, my therapy, my best friend, my connection with nature. And when I would go to the barn, it's like the minute I walked in the barn and breathed in and smelled the smell of horses and the grass and the outdoors, it's like everything was left at the door. And I remember in the first few years I had him, I would cry the whole way home in my car because I didn't want to leave. Like there were times I'd go on trail rides and you just wished you could ride and ride and ride and never come back and never get back down. Because when your feet hit the ground, it's like reality comes crashing back on you. And when you leave, all the stuff you have to do and you have to take care of and you have to worry about, all the responsibilities. And it was freedom. It was just freedom.
That's beautiful. Wow. I think I need to get into horseback riding. My sister really started doing so. My sister, you mentioned that you had a difficult childhood. I did too. I think a lot of people, So
yeah, there is no normal.
Yeah, right. My sister and I had a very difficult childhood, and she recently, she always wanted to ride a horse, but never did as a child. And, for various reasons. But she recently, like maybe within the last year and a half or 2 years, decided she was going to, that was something that was important to her. She wanted to do that. Well, it always had been, and it was now safe for her to, So she has, and it's been so incredibly beautiful to watch that journey. She'll tell me about it whenever I talk to her. She tells me about when she's, she does these, I don't know what they call them. They're like competitions. She does these competitions on Saturdays, and she'll ride the horse, and they do different kind of skills.
Oh, like a horse show. Yeah. I never competed in horse shows. I was a trail rider, so I just went trail riding.
Yeah. But
horse shows.
She shows me these videos, and I can just see her on her horse, and she is alive in a way that is just so beautiful to me. Like to see her, it makes me verklempt to think of, like to see her just like thriving in that way and finding so much joy on the horse. It brings me so much joy to see that in her. So it's really cool to hear you talk about your experience too. And it makes me think about my sister. And
thank you for sharing yours. Isn't it amazing the way people are connected? Like just in a conversation, finding out all the commonalities. I love that.
I know. It's so cool. Well, just kind of like I know we kind of went down a rabbit hole, but I couldn't help myself. So, like going back to your mentor, Margot, you shared that she saw potential in you. What was it about her that you really admired and respected? And do you have a story about her that you just feel like just, inspired you to want to maybe be like her in some way? Or that she had some sort of a Moxie moment that you just loved?
Mhm. I think the people who most inspired me in my life that I most admired, there's a few people in my life that I've called my hero. And then a
Mhm.
couple other women come to mind. One of my employees, I hired a woman
Oh,
who was my direct report.
yeah.
I told her she was my hero. My financial advisor, who I became friends with her before she became my financial advisor, she's my hero. And I think
Mm.
they all have something in common. They Margot was back then I was a very angry young woman in college. I had combat boots and black leather jackets and mosh pits and death metal music um
No
and
way! I would have never thought it, Gina.
I told my former boss that and he's like, "No way." And I'm like, "Oh, way." I would get in
We
this.
all have layers, right? Like there's layers to us.
Yeah, they call it throwing bows. I'd get into a pit and I'd be like throwing bows.
I've been in those mosh pits. I've done the crowd surfing thing.
But it was just she was I'm almost like the mother I wanted, like calm, peaceful, compassionate, kind, loving, gentle, this gentleness, giving, caring, like, it wasn't about her. It was about,
Mm.
she had very much, I think, a servant mentality, and she was an educator for a reason, because, she wanted to change lives. She wanted to raise people up. And I think also positivity and being a giver, not a taker. I think in my life I ran across a lot of takers because I'm a giver, and takers
Yeah.
naturally find givers.
Oh yeah.
But
Oh,
to
they do.
find people who sustain you rather than drain you, where you give to them when they need to be given, they give to you when you need to be given, and it's like this self-sustaining cyclical energy exchange. Like that is
Yeah.
very powerful. And I think she probably saw that I was a damaged young girl, and she wanted to give me tools to heal. Um, I remember I had a college professor. Now she was not a good experience. She's not a hero, but she
But we
gave me
take the
one.
good and the bad, right? We learn from both.
Yeah, but she gave me one piece of great advice. I remember my poems are usually very dark. There's always this like edge to them, and
Mhm.
one line of a poem, it ended on something like, "And I will die, keeping Kim from repeating whatever pain on me." I don't remember even the poem. But she said, "Why would you not change die to live? And I will live keeping him from repeating, that pattern on me." And I was like, I looked at it and I was like, wow. What a different way, like people say, "I'll die trying," or "I'll die before I let someone steal from me again." And she was like saying, "Why don't I live trying? I'll live never letting
Mm.
someone steal from me again." And
Yeah.
that was a powerful gift she gave me too.
Yeah. It is amazing to think like, you know, we can have positive and negative role models in our lives. And even the people who may have hurt us or been a negative influence can, they still teach us so much that we can learn from.
Hmm.
That's incredible. Oh, beautiful. Gina, this has been such a wonderful conversation.
I
So
know.
my last and final question for you is how would you describe the word moxie?
Oh yeah, that's an easy one. When I first met you, the two words came to mind: courage and resilience. I
Mm,
think you can't have one without the other. There are plenty of people who are courageous, but the resilience to keep coming back, to not let things destroy you,
yeah.
to pivot, to transform, to to learn to see the world a different way, learn to see yourself a different way. I think that to me is what Moxie is. It's just, it's a story of courage and resilience.
A story of courage and resilience. Well, you have definitely shown that today in spades. Oh my gosh. Thank you for sharing your Moxie with us today. You have so much of it.
Aw,
And I'm just so grateful that you came on the show and shared your story and your journey with us
thank you
and your
for the
poem.
honor.
Oh my gosh.
Thank
And
you.
yeah, so I would love for you to share, just in closing, where can our listeners get a hold of you if they'd like to connect with you?
Oh, I love networking, and I have a
Hmm.
huge network, and I love to be of service to other people and I love making introductions and being a bridge
Hmm.
builder. Yeah, oh, I know someone you need to meet. So LinkedIn is a great place just because then if we are connected there, I can always connect people to other people. So my LinkedIn is just my name, Gina Tabasso. And I also have a website, which is my company name, barracuda B2B marketing.com. And my email is Gina at barracuda B2B marketing.com.
Awesome. Well, I cannot wait to see how this pivot unfolds for you, Gina. I'm so excited to just continue on the journey with you. And thank you for being our guest. And until next time, say hello, Moxie. That's a wrap for today's episode of Hello Moxie. I hope you felt that unbreakable thread connecting you to the women of the past, to the trailblazing pioneers of today. Their stories of audacity, resilience, and courage are a powerful reminder of what's possible for you when you choose to live with Moxie.